Well, first and foremost, good morning. It's Friday today. I hope everybody's having a great day. What you need to do when you're in a relationship or you're dating a woman consistently, okay, you need to monitor and limit the amount of sentences, okay, that you're willing to share regarding your inner thoughts. What you really need to do when you're dating a woman, okay, or you're in a long-term relationship specifically, or in general, just a woman that you're seeing frequently, you need to minimize your sentences, okay, that you're willing to give. And what that really means is you need to minimize your sentences and your communication when it comes to your inner thoughts. Okay, listen to me closely. A woman can't really reject you until you start opening your mouth and talking too much. You start letting all these sentences loose left and right about your inner thoughts. See, this is the problem. This is the whole problem. Eventually, you get so comfortable that you forget she's your girlfriend. You get so comfortable that you forget you're still interacting with a woman. Okay? This is not your best friend John or your best friend Frank. This is not your grandpa. This is not your dad that you're communicating with. This is not your brother. This is not your best friend from high school that you were on the football team with. This is a woman, and this is your girlfriend. Or this is a woman that you're just dating or seeing frequently. You have to understand that when a woman rejects you or pulls away from you after she's gotten to know you and after you two have slept together, what has happened is you have revealed your thoughts, your feelings, or your beliefs regarding your inner core identity or maybe even worldview. And when she heard it, it turned her off. It didn't make her feel good. So this is the first lesson you have to understand about women when you're dating or in a long-term relationship is women just follow their emotions, and women will oftentimes just follow whoever makes them feel good consistently. If you're in a long-term relationship or if you're dating a woman consistently, in order to not give her the ick, in order to not turn her off, the entire relationship is far more about defense, not offense, and it is far more about emotional management and making sure that her emotions are properly in the right zone or the vibe that she needs to feel in order to keep the relationship stable if you're choosing to be in a long-term relationship. I understand that I'm throwing a lot at you right now, so let me just say the first part again. When you're in a relationship or when you are dating a woman long-term, since you are basically now in the business of emotional management, managing another person's emotions to make sure that it stays in the sweet spot, you need to minimize and watch very closely, okay? You need to minimize the amount of sentences you're willing to give and the amount of sentences that are coming out of your mouth that starts to display your inner thoughts, your inner character, and your inner beliefs or views on the world or anything like that. And the reason being is because you're playing defense, not offense, and every time you open your mouth, you run the risk of turning her off. Because women will oftentimes just follow what makes their ears feel good. They follow what they hear that makes them feel good. A lot of times it's not going to be rooted in the things that you feel is important. You might be looking at a situation logically or rationally, and you're putting two and two together and you understand that this is the best step or the best move forward, or you understand that this makes most rational sense. What makes most rational sense a lot of times might just turn her off. She might just look at you and go, why do you have to say it like that? Why do you have to act like that? Why do you have to feel that? Why do you have to think that way? Even though to you it makes perfect sense. These are the things you might run into. And then all of a sudden for the next 24 hours, she's just going to be completely cold to you. Now here's where the relationship really starts to go downhill. When she's cold to you in that time period, and I don't want you to just think about this like, oh, I don't care. I'm too cool. This is what you're going to think if you watch a lot of these types of manosphere videos on the internet. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking you're steady dating a woman for 5 months, 8 months, 12 months, 24 months. This is a woman you've invested a lot of time with. For some of you, maybe you're married or maybe you live with her. When she does that, when you've gotten to the point where you've turned her off to where now she's cold or she's distant, or you can tell that she visibly is losing interest in you and she doesn't like you, for most guys, that's going to totally affect their whole day. That's going to totally affect their whole day. That's going to totally affect his business that day and his productivity at work. That's going to affect his sleep because he has fear of loss, because he has somewhat of an attachment. This is going to affect his overall just physical presence even. For some guys, it's hard for them to eat or sleep or anything like that. This is going to totally affect his whole day. And it's because he let his mouth run too much. Loose lips, when you're talking, too much. What you have to understand is that women can fundamentally reject you at the core or your core identity while still being attracted to you. So what that means is she's attracted to you, which is why you two are dating in the first place. But because you've exposed too much about your inner thoughts, your inner beliefs, maybe your thoughts on a specific topic, your views of the world, guys start to talk too much because they forget that they're still interacting with a woman, despite it being your girlfriend or your wife. This is not your dude friend. This is not your dad. This is not your brother. This is a woman that you're communicating with. So you have to still remember that all the same rules apply. What happens is guys forget that and they start communicating too much. They're laying there in bed at night and they say one too many sentences, or they start exposing one too many thoughts that they have. And all of a sudden, those thoughts or those beliefs or those feelings can turn her off. And you'll watch this. It's like a light switch. So despite her being attracted to you, this is what you have to remember. Despite her being attracted to you, which is why you guys went on a first date in the first place, which is why you two are dating, which is why you two are seeing each other, which is why you two have been consistently seeing each other for maybe months or years. Once she starts to see an insight, or once she starts to see inside your mind a little bit and get a read on your character and your core identity, this is what you have to remember, is that women can fundamentally start to lose interest in you despite being attracted to you, because a woman can separate how she views the guy with his core identity from her initial interest level. And once she starts rejecting your core character and your core identity, it is completely over and there's no saving that. Because now she personally believes that she has an idea of who you really are on the inside. And once she's rejected that guy, then it's over. Now, this is what you have to remember. A lot of guys are going to hear this. And here's another thing. Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know how you're laying in bed at night and you start talking too much. You're going to have to either change subjects or you're going to have to sit silent. Because now you're still a mystery as well. And she wants to know, well, why doesn't he want to talk to me? Why doesn't he want to tell me what he's thinking? Why doesn't he want to tell me what he's feeling? You can't, and here's why. If you are very inexperienced with women and dating in general, or let's say you've only dated a couple women, or you've only had maybe one or two girlfriends and not a whole lot of experience outside of that, whether that be short-term relationships or long-term relationships, the coping sentence that will come out of a guy's mouth is something like, well, if that's her belief, okay, or if she feels that way, then she's not for me anyways. I want to find a woman where I can be myself and say what I want at any time and not turn her off. And I want a woman who really likes me for me, and no matter what I do or no matter what I say, since she likes me, I'm going to just find a woman who aligns better with my life. That's the coping sentence that comes out of a guy's mouth. I'm here to tell you that that is fundamentally impossible, and that's just not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because how your mind operates when it comes to the logic or the reason behind certain sentences or certain things that you're feeling at that moment, more often than not will fundamentally turn her off, because she is following her own emotions, and what she hears in her ears dictates or determines how she feels about you. Literally, the words flowing through her ears can change her perception of reality and alter her judgment how she views you. This is completely independent of your attraction. When you see or feel attraction, a lot of times you're drawn towards beauty. Okay? And when you're attracted to a woman, you're attracted to her. There might be things that you dislike, but it doesn't really alter or change your attraction level. Since women look at the character or the identity or the personality or the person as a whole, she's looking at everything. She's looking at your mannerisms, your speech, how you look, your vocal tone, your style, how you carry yourself, how you interact with other people, your inner confidence. Since she's looking at everything, okay, and she sees attraction differently than you, you have to understand that you will not be able to find a woman where you can neglect this one concept that I'm teaching you. So you might be wondering the things that I'm saying, like you're in a relationship and you're actually basically in the business of like emotional management. Or you might be sitting here thinking, Casey, you're telling me, what does it mean to even play defense and not offense? I'll give you an example of exactly what I mean. The only way we can give you fundamental clarity on these topics too is if I keep looping back to the original sentence or the original thing that I said at the beginning of this video, which is, when you're dating a woman or you're in a long-term relationship with a woman, you need to manage the amount of sentences coming out of your mouth so you do not reveal too much of your inner beliefs and how you think or how you feel about certain situations, because it will turn her off. Okay? What does playing defense mean? Playing defense means that you're, like, if you think about like the game of like football or basketball, the team that's on defense, okay, is a lot of times playing it safe or making sure that the other team doesn't score. When you play defense, it's minimizing risk. So when you're laying there at night or when you're sitting there and you wake up in the morning and, you know, she's by your side or whatever, you need to take a second every single time and go, do I need to say that sentence or not? And if it's not needed at all, if it's just something you wanted to say to communicate with someone, just shut up. Just don't say it. Because when you say these little things, they stack up. Could be your view on a character on a TV show. You don't like something that that person did or said, and she might go, why? And now you start talking. It could be you two are watching the news, and you don't like something that was said. It could be something, you know, pops up on a video about a celebrity, and you start to give your opinion on it. None of that's needed. She's already with you. She's already been on dates with you. Just shut up and don't say anything. Just don't talk about most things that you want to say. When you let your mouth run loose, you're fundamentally neglecting the fact or the idea that what flows through her ears dictates and determines her perception or her perspective of you. So let me give you an example. Let's say you gave a woman just the hottest dude in the world, you know, whatever her ideal 10 is, 7 feet tall, whatever, celebrity or whatever. If at face value, he is a 10 out of 10, you have to understand this. The sentences coming out of his mouth and how he carries himself can fundamentally lower her interest to such a degree where she doesn't even view him as a romantic option anymore. That's how much this stuff matters. See, when men start dating a woman, they get into this idea or this interaction that they found their companion. We have chemistry. She's known me long enough where now I can open up and not even be myself, but I can just start talking freely. I think that's the word I want to use, talking freely. Just starting to express yourself freely left and right, like you would if it was, you know, your best friend Frank and your best friend John beside you. You can't do that. And for all of you saying, well, I'll just find a woman who I can do that with, good luck. Good luck. It's not going to happen because women follow their emotions, and the way that you're processing and perceiving your own ideas and your own thoughts and your own sentences is fundamentally not going to be the way that she interprets it. You will notice this. If you even say something that's more direct a lot of times in a tone that's a little bit more direct, you might even notice you didn't even say anything wrong or bad, but you might notice just the tone of voice and the way you said it can get her to shift her mood and look at you and go, why are you talking that way? That's how much this stuff matters. So this is why one of the things that I would always recommend to guys is not spending too much time with women, or not spending extended periods of time with women, especially in the beginning, or especially when you two have, let's say, just started dating. And the reason being is because you run the risk of over communicating and saying something wrong, which can fundamentally turn her off and get her to not even view you as the guy that she thought you were the first couple months. This is how important this stuff matters. I don't think men understand the degree of which this is important. Like, I don't think most men actually understand how important the things are that I'm telling or that I'm saying until this actually happens to you. And this is especially true if you want to maintain the interest level of hot women. Like hot women specifically, because hot women are going to have options, which means what flows through their ears is really going to determine their personality level interest towards you, because if they don't like what they heard, it's pretty easy for them to replace you. And that's why simultaneously through this, you need to make yourself irreplaceable, because it gives you slightly more leeway or room for error with your sentences. But listen closely. I'll say this one more time. If you're dating a woman long term, you need to manage the amount of sentences and communication that's coming out of your mouth regarding your inner thoughts or your inner beliefs or your take on things or your thoughts on a situation. A lot of times, if you have a woman telling you a bunch of things, maybe about her day, her friends, her family members, things she likes about someone or something, things she doesn't like about someone or something, it is best to just sit and listen and go, oh yeah, whoa, oh really? Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Oh wow, that's wild. Huh. And what this does is it allows you to play defense. Now, the second you go into that conversation and you start giving your opinion on things, oh yeah, I agree. I think it's bad that your friend did that because of this. Oh yeah, whatever happened at the office, that's not good because of this, this, and this. Or here's another thing. Definitely don't try to give advice. The second you give advice, here's what I'd do in this situation. Here's what I think you should do. First you should do this, now you should do this. And instantly she doesn't like that advice, or she doesn't even like being told any of those sentences that are coming out of your mouth, and she doesn't like the way it makes her feel. It's best to literally just do nothing. Do absolutely nothing. Just sit and listen. Once you've attracted her, and once she likes being in your vicinity or being around your presence, congratulations, game over. You have successfully completed the vibe, which is all she cares about. The words flowing through her ears. And this is why you have to remember, women don't necessarily follow the best man. Women follow the man that makes her feel the best. I'll say that again. Women don't follow the best man. Women follow the man that makes her feel the best. The man that makes her feel the best is the guy who is sitting there managing sentence structure and what comes out of his mouth so he doesn't over communicate and say the wrong thing. One little sentence can shift her entire perspective of you for that whole day, or even that whole week, or maybe even your entire being. Keep all of this in mind. What I advise you to do at this point in the video is learn, understand, and master the language of women. Like I say in all my videos, I created a community. I created the best community. There's over 2,000 guys inside of that community learning, understanding, and mastering the language of women. This is my opinion. If there was only maybe like a couple hundred dudes in that community, I don't think it would be as impressive. But since there's literally 2,000, okay, I have created some amazing processes in there so that way you can attract the women that you want to attract and retain the interest level in the relationship without her leaving you heartbroken. That's why I made this. If you haven't yet joined us inside of this, join us. Join us inside this community. You'll love it. It took me so many months to build this. It's my life's work. It's an accumulation of all my knowledge over the past 10 or 11 years of dating, and I think you'll really love it. But you need to manage that sentence structure, and you need to manage and limit the amount of sentences coming out of your mouth, because you're going to turn women off. Even you'll see this with a lot of like long-term relationships or husbands and wives. A lot of times the wife will just start to completely hate the husband or start to reject the husband completely because of the over communication and too many sentences, and she just has too much of an inside access, or she has too much insight into what he thinks and how he thinks. And what you're going to find is no matter who you date, no matter who you marry, a lot of times women just fundamentally do not like the way a man naturally thinks. A lot of times a woman doesn't like to hear what a man actually thinks about certain things. She might tell you she does. She might tell you, oh, I'd love if you open up more and if you're expressive and if you actually tell me how you think and feel about things. Do that for a second. Watch how quickly her interest goes downhill. Women follow the words that makes them feel good. And that's about it.